Good evening, baseball fans. How you doing? Happy Friday night to everyone at home. Man, oh man, today was a pretty good day for me. I'm not gonna lie. The Red Sox actually made a move. Well, not just the Red Sox, but Fenway Sports Group. Theo Epstein is coming home to Boston, everyone. We're going to get into it. We're going to break it down. I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. What could this mean for the Red Sox? Does it mean anything for the Red Sox this offseason? I'll give you my thoughts. We had a big trade last night. Corbin Burns heading to the Orioles out of nowhere like a Randy Orton RKO. What could this mean for the Brewers? They still have a couple more pieces. Could they make some more trades? And what about the Orioles? Are they done? Do they have more up their sleeve? We'll get into it. How you doing, everyone? Good evening. Right around 130 people to start things off. I'm not expecting a big show tonight. You know, Friday nights, they're kind of hit or miss. I feel like we've had a couple of good Friday nights here or there. And, but I don't know. I usually don't count on Friday nights being all that great. It's just never really a great night. But we've had a couple of good ones, so who knows. But there's a couple of things to talk about. Just wanted to go live for tonight and see all your friendly faces. I'm seeing SoundFX09 in the chat. SoundFX, I haven't seen you too much lately. Where have you been, my friend? Hello, welcome back. Nicholas, one of our moderators, is here. Thank you for stopping by, Nicholas. I appreciate it. Seeing a lot of familiar faces here. CJ, how you doing? Another member here. Everyone, I'm going to do my best to get through this stream. There has been lag lately. It's been really rough. Like, I got a new computer, and the computer just decided to stop working, basically. Like, it wouldn't boot. It would boot up, but it wasn't displaying to my screen, so it was like some kind of a software issue, and so I don't know. I got to get that figured out, and yeah. So we're back to the old computer, so hopefully it's not too bad. We've been having lag on it lately, so let's see. Hopefully it can stay kind to us tonight. But what you can do, everyone, to help us out, if you can, hit that like button for me. It really does help out with the algorithm. Hit that bell notification. Make sure that is turned on. And if you can, share the show. Let's get it out there to more baseball fans. Let's get some more people in here for tonight on a pretty quiet Friday night. Not a whole lot going on. And if anyone is new, think about subscribing. We do have some more subscribers from last night's stream. We got up to almost 1,000 people in that stream last night. So if anyone is coming back, thank you for stopping by yet again. We will get to tonight's sponsor in just a little bit. That is BetUS. Everyone, the link is in the description below. You get a 125% bonus when you click that link. Listen, hey, you might not be baseball season right now, but we got basketball nightly. And hey, we got the Super Bowl right around the corner. But even though we don't have baseball, you can still place bets on future stuff with baseball, as well as even, free agent stuff at the moment. So there's a whole ton of ways to play. I'll show you in just a little bit. But let's get into the big news today. Wow, I wasn't expecting this. Was not expecting this today. This kind of just came out of nowhere. I mentioned earlier a Randy Orton RKO. This was even more of an RKO today. But Theo Epstein coming back to not just the Red Sox, but Fenway Sports Group. And this was broken first by Sportico, I believe. This was the first outlet to announce it. And so they promptly just said former Red Sox GM Theo Epstein is returning to Boston as a part owner of Fenway Sports Group and a senior advisor. So he's not coming back in really a GM kind of a role. Oh, I'm already noticing some lag, everyone. I apologize. Hopefully it's good on your end, wherever you are. I'm noticing lag on my end. Hopefully we're good to go. But he's not coming back as, a president of baseball operations. He's coming back as a senior advisor for Fenway Sports Group. So if you're wondering, Fenway Sports Group, what's that? Well, that's the ownership company that Red Sox fans have been complaining about all offseason. And, hey, rightfully so. The Red Sox have not made, big moves. Sure, maybe some of the things that have happened, like Justin Turner, him going to the Blue Jays. A lot of Red Sox fans were kind of freaking out over that. But, some stuff, yeah, warranted. I think it's just more the lack of moves. I feel like the Red Sox have had an okay offseason, but okay is not good enough for what they need to do to try and compete, especially now that the Orioles have made a move, the Yankees have been making moves. Anyway, but Fenway Sports Group, it's the Red Sox. It's Liverpool, right? Soccer, right? Over in Europe, right? That's a huge part of Fenway Sports Group. Recently in the last couple of years, the Pittsburgh Penguins, they just recently partnered with the PGA. So Fenway Sports Group is growing, and it seems like growing rapidly. They want to get a basketball franchise in there as well. LeBron James is also part of it. So now Theo Epstein is part of it, and he is here as a senior advisor, basically there. Well, we'll get into it. It talks about it in this article. So let's get to the comments here from John Henry. There's no question that Theo left an indelible mark on our history that represented a transformative era. Welcoming him as a member of our ownership group and in the role of senior advisor to the broader company brings with it a sense of completion. So, listen, me as a Red Sox fan, when I first got into the Red Sox, Theo Epstein was the guy, right? They brought him in 2003. I still remember that DVD for the 2003 Red Sox, that documentary. And there was a lot of Theo Epstein in it. And it was pretty cool because it showed a lot of behind the scenes kind of stuff. And I felt like from that documentary, I got a good idea of how Theo Epstein was. A guy that really wanted to win, a guy that really wanted to do well for the Red Sox and wanted the Red Sox to do well, right? He had many interviews over the past, he called the whole curse, the just complete BS. He was a guy that came in, yeah, maybe, he sort of came in as a kid, but he kind of grew into a man very quickly with the Red Sox, showed what he could do, kind of finishing that 2004 team, right? Dan Duquette was the big part of that Red Sox team in 2004, where he brought in all of those big pieces like Pedro Martinez, Manny Ramirez, right? Theo Epstein kind of finished it off, bringing in Kurt Schilling, Keith Folk, bringing in David Ortiz after he got released. So, but 2007 was where Theo Epstein really got to shine, where a lot of the players that he developed, right, or at least that were developed under his leadership, right? And he even said when he came in, he wanted to basically turn the Red Sox into a player development powerhouse, right? And they really were, right? Look at all the prospects that came through, right? Dustin Pedroia, Jacoby Ellsbury, Papelbon. So many really good young players that came up after Theo Epstein got there. And the results showed, right? And then you had the unfortunate exit after that 2011 season, the massive choke of a season, which basically prompted him on his way out. He basically got out of town. It was actually, go back to 2005, that he snuck out in a gorilla suit, right? He didn't want to deal with the Red Sox anymore. He felt like he was over it at that point, but he was still basically at that time, he was still almost like an advisor in a way, but then he eventually came back, right? And then after he left the Red Sox, went to the Cubs, helped end their curse, right? Basically did the same thing with the Cubs that he did with the Red Sox, right? Developed players, brought in free agents, really did a lot for that Cubs organization. And it was almost like a blueprint of what he did with the Red Sox, right? So Theo Epstein, kind of getting into a little bit more of the comments here. With his strategic mind, leadership, and unwavering passion for sports, Theo brings invaluable assets that will drive us forward across our diverse enterprises, especially in our sporting operations across hockey, EPL football, and baseball. We take great pride in welcoming him to the FSG family and eagerly anticipate the insights and contributions he will bring as we continue to build on the legacy of success he played a pivotal role in helping us shape. So his comments were, I am thrilled and honored to return to FSG. This is truly a unique opportunity for me, a chance to partner with people who mean a lot to me, a chance to challenge myself in new arenas, and a chance to use my experience and perspective to help others succeed and win at the highest level. Rob Manfred, he put out some comments because remember, Theo Epstein most recently was working with Major League Baseball as an advisor, right? Helping with the new rule changes and whatnot. Anywhere Theo goes, it has just been good, right? He has just only brought good things wherever he goes. So now, if we come to kind of getting to the conclusion here, he says here, his role, I will not be the one making decisions. Rather, I'll be the one asking questions, offering opinions, building trust, and supporting the terrific people at FSG to help us reach new heights. He said about Craig Breslow, he said that he only had good things to say about Craig Breslow. I'm not seeing where that quote was. He basically said, I'm trying to find, I don't know why it's not in here. However, MC made it clear. There was a quote somewhere. He basically said it. I don't know why they don't put the quote in here, but he basically said at one point that he thought Craig Breslow was a great person for the job and he was going to do great. So here's what I get out of this. Yeah, no, Theo Epstein's not coming in to, save the Red Sox. I do think, obviously, like there's a big part of him that really wanted to grow in his own career, right? He wanted to take that next step and he wanted to get into ownership. So this is kind of his foot in the door. However, right now, he's not going to go in there and start making all these decisions for the Red Sox. He's not going to come in here and tell Craig Breslow what to do. However, I find the timing very interesting. Now, this could very well have been in the works for a little while, right? Jared Carrabis, he had been mentioning Theo Epstein. He had been bringing up his name back when Chaim Bloom was getting removed, right? So his name was popping up at that point. So I would imagine there has been some kind of talks for a little bit now. However, I find the timing very interesting because Fenway Sports Group, John Henry, Tom Warner, they've been getting, Sam Kennedy as well. They have been getting a lot of flack lately, a lot of it. And to be honest with you, well-deserved. Listen, I'm all about the player development for the Red Sox. I'm all about really getting these players like Marcelo Meyer, Kyle Teal, Roman Anthony, get those guys up at some point in the next year or two. And yeah, then maybe you could start making those big transactions, right? Getting those big stars. Because the Red Sox, I feel like, are not in a position to really go after those kind of guys right now. At least they really, I don't think it's the best time to. However, I think they should be doing something, all right? Now, this is where I wonder, Theo Epstein, right? There's been a lot of flack on Fenway Sports Group. There's been a lot of anger, right? A lot of confusion among Red Sox fans. What are we doing? What is happening? Like, why are there no moves being made? Why is there a budget? Right? So it's kind of funny how all of these things are happening, right? They just partnered with the PGA. Now this, right? It's very interesting how it's all happening at one time. So my guess is, even if this was in the works for a little while, I think the timing of it is interesting because basically, in my opinion, the way I'm thinking about it, and I could very well be wrong, is that John Henry ring to Theo Epstein said, hey man, listen, we're having some trouble. Let's have you come aboard. right? Let's get this done, because, and I'll say this. I will say this. A little while ago, I was told personally, behind the scenes, that Craig Breslow is having not a rough time, but he's getting used to this new job, right? And he's basically had to jump into this on the fly, right? He just ran right into a pressure cooker, and he's basically having to learn as he goes, right? He was with this Cubs organization, but he wasn't with, in a role where he was running it. So I was told that he has felt overwhelmed, right? I have told that he has had his, he's had some tough moments, right? And to me, I think the fact that it's just weird because there's been a lot of lack of moves, right? It just feels like, why isn't anything getting done? So I find the timing interesting. I know I've said that like 8 times now, but again, it's just nothing's happening, and then all of a sudden Theo's here. So the way I see it, I think I think there is a chance that you could see something happen. Maybe. I'm trying not to get too wishful thinking over here. But maybe. We just saw with the Orioles, they just changed ownership groups, right? All of a sudden, right 2 days later, they make a move, right? So I wonder if maybe because the Red Sox have been having this transition, partnering with the PGA, investing $1.5 billion, maybe that has something to do with this budget, right? Maybe they're just trying to keep it tight. Now that's done. So maybe something could happen here. Now, you got Theo here. So, again, I don't know. I'm connecting dots, and I wonder if something could be on the horizon. Now, I'm not saying they're going to make like a blockbuster move, right? But I wonder if Theo was brought in. Okay, they got the investment done. They're with the PGA now. And now Theo is here. Be like, okay, I'm here if you need me, right? What can we do to get this team done, right, for this year? Doesn't necessarily mean you got to go, sign like 3 players to mega contracts. That's not what I'm saying. I think Theo is here, obviously, for his own ventures, right, to get his foot in the door in ownership. And I mean, this guy's probably going to make himself some good money doing this, I would imagine. So good for him. But I do wonder if all of a sudden there's going to be something going on. Craig Breslow, if I'm Craig Breslow and Theo Epstein is coming the door, I mean, yeah, I'm picking this guy's brain immediately. I'm calling that guy on the phone. And maybe even Theo Epstein comes in and be like, hey, man, Red Sox fans are a little feisty at the moment, huh? You guys need some help? If I'm Theo Epstein, because you got to think, the one thing I respected about Theo Epstein was he was very big on player development, but the man knew how to get deals done. What I respected so much about Theo Epstein was he had a very big emphasis on the player development, but he also knew that you had to go sign those players to make a complete team. So I wonder here if maybe this could be a nudge, possibly, in trying to get something done with Jordan Montgomery. Or maybe someone like a Jorge Soler, who all of a sudden his market just seems like it's out the window at this point. The Mets seems like they're maybe looking at going internally to resolve their DH issues. The Blue Jays have Justin Turner. Diamondbacks, they got Jock Peterson. So where's Jorge Soler going? Jordan Montgomery, it seems like his market is completely tanked unless a surprise team comes out of nowhere like the Cubs, Phillies. Rangers figure out some money, but it doesn't look like it's going that way. So I'm wondering, could maybe Theo give a bit of a nudge here? Be like, hey, you know what? Listen, Montgomery's right there. Let's get this figured out. right? And maybe Breslow is having a bit of a hard time. Maybe there is something. He's a great baseball mind. However, this is front office kind of stuff. This is like negotiations, right? So, yeah, I would imagine he's probably pretty inexperienced at this, right? I mean, I don't know how much he dealt with this kind of stuff in Chicago, and so I think someone like Theo, who knew how to close the deal, he knew how to get stuff done. I wonder if we see something happen in the next couple of days, maybe probably weeks, if anything does happen. And maybe I'm being out of my mind right now. Maybe I'm just wishfully thinking at this point. But again, connecting dots, I find it interesting that Theo, all of a sudden, the fan base has just been rabid lately. They've been upset. And now all of a sudden he's here. You got and as immediately after the PGA investment got done and the partnership is complete, and then he's here all of a sudden. I don't know. I get it. Yes, he is joining the Fenway Sports Group. I don't know if I'm Theo Epstein. I'm thinking, all right, come on. We gotta figure out how to get this team done here. We got free agents out there. Theo Epstein knows Scott Boras like the back of his hand. I mean, do you know how many times Theo Epstein dealt with Scott Boras? I guarantee you Theo Epstein has some kind of a trick up his sleeve when it comes to Scott Boras. He had to deal with Scott Boras for Daisuke Matsuzaka. There was a deal that almost didn't even get done. Right? Came down to the wire, and it looked like the deal was dead, and Daisuke was going to go back to Japan. And Theo Epstein figured it out. He figured out many deals with Scott Boras, who happens to be the client of all of these free agents out there. I don't know. Again, maybe I'm completely wrong. That's just how I'm feeling about this right now. Either way, I could ramble about this for like the next hour. But I love this. I absolutely love this because Theo was the guy to me. He set the tone for guys like Ben Cherington, right? Ben Cherington, he came in, he made, was he as good as Theo Epstein, when it came to adding players? Not really. Player development-wise, Ben Cherington really laid down a lot of good pieces, right? But Ben Cherington did get some moves done, right? Yeah, Theo Epstein. Remember Theo Epstein, he went for Carl Crawford, Adrian Gonzalez. Those were his last couple of moves, and, those came crashing down. Actually, I liked Adrian Gonzalez, to be completely honest. Carl Crawford, that fell flat. But then Ben Cherington, he made a few moves there to help the Red Sox win that 2013 championship. And then he brought in Dave Dombrowski. But Dave Dombrowski, he's his own man, right? So I think Theo is good to have because he's a guy that has been there, done that with two different organizations. So whoever comes into the Red Sox organization, whether Craig Breslow ends up staying there for a long time, someone else, Theo is going to be there, and he's going to be there to advise. What better of an advisor could you want if you are with the Red Sox? Just saying. But could we see something with Jordan Montgomery? Maybe. To me, it's a perfect fit, so maybe Theo has an idea for Craig Breslow. Like, hey, you know what? Let's try and do this. Maybe offer him this contract. Let's get a deal done here, right? Jorge Soler. This is another guy who's market. And maybe the Red Sox, this is by design, right? Maybe this is something the Red Sox have been doing here. Because, and I'm not trying to make this all about the Red Sox. I know this is an all-around baseball show. But, I would be saying this if this was, the Kansas City Royals, right? To me, there's no other teams for these two to go to unless you get some surprise teams. Jorge Soler, I could see a couple of teams who could potentially be surprise teams. Maybe the Tigers, who could use a bat, but they seem to be wanting to lean on the youth. Maybe probably not the Padres because they don't want to spend money, a lot of it. Maybe a random team like the Nationals or something. But they got stuff going. They're looking at their youth right now, and, they just brought in Gallo, so I don't know about that. The Mets, like I mentioned earlier, for Jorge Soler, they seem to be focusing internally, which that could make sense. You got guys like Vientos there. So the Mets, just instead of going out and getting Jorge Soler, who you probably, even if you sign him to a 2-year deal, I mean, is he really going to do all that much for you? I mean, yeah, it would help, but what's better, getting Soler, where he might fit a team that's ready to compete right now, or give playing time for the young guys? What would be more valuable to the Mets right now? Sounds like maybe the playing time for the young guys could be more valuable to the Mets, since, really they're looking at this year as, okay, we can go for a wild card, but we're not going to push it. All right. And you could say the same thing about the Red Sox, but the thing about the Red Sox is they could go for a wild card. Now, I feel like this division is completely out of reach. We'll talk about that in a second, but the Red Sox could absolutely compete for a wild card. But they need a couple pieces to do that, right? And someone like Soler and even Montgomery, you could bring those guys in for the next couple of years, the next few years to keep you competitive, right? So that's where they do fit the Red Sox, right? And, the Blue Jays, they just brought in Turner. So I don't know about that. Again, like, where is Jorge Soler going to go? Where? I don't know. And then there was a report with the Angels lately that, they don't seem to be really wanting to spend a lot of big bucks at this point. So what does that mean for Blake Snell? We'll talk about him in a little bit. I don't know. Listen, everyone, I feel like if there's a team out there, it's the Red Sox for both of these guys. They need someone like Jordan Montgomery. They could use a right-handed bat. They have also been connected with Tommy Pham, right? John Heyman reporting that today. John Heyman saying the Red Sox like Tommy Pham. I don't know, man. If it's me, these are the two guys. If I'm the Red Sox, I'm bringing in Montgomery and Soler. Give them Soler, try to go for a 2-year deal. See if Montgomery will bite on a 3-year. Try and get it done for 4. I'm doing that if I'm the Red Sox, man. So we will see. This is going to be interesting with Theo Epstein in the fold. Could this necessarily mean more towards the future? Could it mean anything for this offseason? I don't know. The Orioles just brought in new ownership, and all of a sudden you got Corbin Burns. So I don't know. Who knows? And now that the PGA deal is done, maybe the Red Sox are more open to be like, okay, that's done. We can breathe. Okay, we can kind of, I'm not saying the Red Sox now will go and spend boatloads just because their investment is done with PGA. But now they know kind of their financial situation, right? The names are on the dotted lines. The T's are crossed. The I's are dotted. So maybe now that can kind of take some weight off, maybe, and they end up doing something. Would I bet on it? Probably not. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. Speaking of the Baltimore Orioles, that will be our next story. And before I actually do get to the Baltimore Orioles, about what I'm about to talk about, I just want to go over tonight's sponsor, and that is BetUS. Thank you to everything they do for this channel. They have been very helpful for this channel. And right now, if you wanted to put some bets on baseball, let's take a look at one of the divisions that you can bet on at this point. You can bet on all the divisions at this point, American and National League. So I need you all to tell me in the chat. There's 240 people in this chat. I need you to tell me right now. I need you to give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. They have the Yankees as the favorites for the American League East, even with Corbin Burns in the fold. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with that? Right now, they have the Yankees at plus 150. The Orioles are at plus 250. The Blue Jays are at plus 400. The Rays are at plus 700. And my Red Sox are at plus 1,000. So let me know. Do you think the Yankees will win this division despite the Orioles getting Corbin Burnes. Very interesting there. So that is just one division that you can bet on. Like I said, you can bet on all of the divisions at this point, but there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can still go put down some bets in baseball. You get the season awards, stat leaders, like I said with the divisions, pennant futures, playoff special futures, whether or not teams make the playoffs. You can bet on how many regular season wins a team will get, World Series future bets. They even have some specials, such as first-time winners of World Series, winning your division and then a World Series. You can even do what state the World Series winner will come from. So check that out. It's not just baseball, obviously. You got football. Super Bowl is right around the corner. We got basketball every night at this point. Hockey season is going on at this point. You got golf, tennis, even soccer, martial arts even. So go check out our friends at BetUS. Again, the link is in the description down below. You get a 125% bonus at sign up. Go check it out, everyone. And BetUS, thank you for all you do for this channel. Let's get to the Orioles. So in case you're living under a rock, well, Corbin Burnes is he's a member of the Baltimore Orioles now. We had a blockbuster trade last night, came out of nowhere, and now Corbin Burnes is the ace of the Baltimore Orioles, and this rotation, it's looking rather snazzy at this point. You got Burnes in the one spot, Bradish, Rodriguez. I forgot to mention this last night. You know, it's too bad when we get breaking news because I can't fully think and digest everything. I can only just react to it at that point. And there's times where after something happens, I reflect on it more and I digest it more. And then I'm like, oh yeah, you know, that's something. Oh yeah, this is something. I dawned on me after the stream last night, the Orioles now have 3 starting pitchers in their rotation that placed in the top 15 in Stuff Plus last year. Let me repeat that. They have 3 of the top Stuff Plus pitchers from last year in their rotation. They're the only team in baseball to have that. That's insane. The Orioles rotation is nasty. Just going to point that out. So, but Corbin Burnes, yeah, sure. Maybe the numbers have been digressing a little bit over the last couple of years. He's not putting up those numbers that he was in that Cy Young season, but still very good numbers for Corbin Burnes. So he's the workhorse that they needed, especially after losing Kyle Gibson. I was rambling on about that last night, and the loss of Kyle Gibson, in my opinion, was a big loss because you lost a lot of innings. That was like 200 innings you just lost, and I think, how are you going to replace those innings? You know, like you had John Means, who's an injury risk. Irvin was there. You know, you were basically looking at Bradish as your opening day guy. And, you know, and Grayson Rodriguez, how many innings are you going to get out of him? So those 200 innings was really a lot to lose. And, you know, that's going to be relying on a bullpen that has no Felix Bautista at that point. So to me, Corbin Burnes, it's not just that you added an ace to your staff, it's that you also added innings that you lost, right? So if you replaced Kyle Gibson in the best way possible, in my opinion. Like it's even better, in my opinion, than adding Jordan Montgomery or Blake Snell through free agency. Corbin Burnes, to me, I think was the best guy that you could have added out of any pitcher out there. Better than Dylan Cease. Just saying. So, however, could the Orioles still have some moves up their sleeves? According to Carlos Baerga today, he broke the Justin Turner news the other night. He's very hit or miss. Yes, give him his roses when he gets something right. However, he did put this out there today. Again, it's a very kind of a weird translation. I almost don't even know if he was speculating, but he put this out there today, right? He said, Well, my people, like I told you 2 days ago, they could surprise us, or that surprise us, that Blake Snell and JD Martinez sign with the Baltimore Orioles. So I'm wondering if he's speculating. I can't tell exactly what he means. I think, I don't know Spanish. I apologize. See me invitan voy? Does that mean send me an invitation? And then, I don't know, he has this speech bubble here where it's like, Gary, I think it says, do you want to come to Baltimore? I don't know. But he's putting out here like Blake Snell and JD Martinez to the Orioles. So, or not to the Orioles. Like, I think I don't know if he's speculating or whatever, but I just thought it was interesting. So, if we go take a look here at the lineup, okay? Just look at this for a second, right? So, you have Ryan Mountcastle as your DH right now. You have Ryan O'Hearn at first base. You could bring in JD Martinez and have him be your DH, and then Mountcastle can be at first base where he's usually, and then Ryan O'Hearn can be that lefty bat off the bench. Oh, Ben's pitching clips. It's if they invite me, I'll go. Okay. So again, I don't know if he's speculating or whatever. You could add JD Martinez to this team. I never kind of thought of that as an option because I've kind of given up on the fact over the last couple of years since they haven't spent money. I don't know. I'm just like not expecting them to sign free agents, but you could get JD Martinez. I mean, they're a competitive team. I could see JD Martinez going there if they want him, maybe, because it is a fit. So, and then Blake Snell. This is interesting to me because, well, now you have a rotation with Burns, Bradish, Rodriguez, Means, and Kramer. So Kramer, if you added Blake Snell, you're essentially pushing Kramer out of this rotation, who had 170 innings last year. So if you added Snell, he would be basically your number 2 or 1. I guess you're 1. I don't know. I will say this. If the Orioles sign Blake Snell, you would have 4 pitchers that were in the top 15 in Stuff Plus. That would be a stupid rotation. You would have Blake Snell, Corbin Burns, Kyle Bradish. Rodriguez would be your 4. Means would be your 5. What an insane rotation that would be if Blake Snell was in the fold. I think if there is, and then if Blake Snell, I think Gary Sanchez is basically going to go wherever where Blake Snell goes. And I don't know. I mean, to me, Adley Rutschman is that guy's playing every day. And then you have James McCann. So I don't know. I guess you could just get rid of McCann. Anyway, if there were either of these, if I were to pick one of these guys to go, I would actually lean JD Martinez. I wonder if that's realistic. Again, I don't know the whole situation with the ownership thing. Will they approve getting a guy? But JD Martinez is on like a 1-year deal, and they did bring in Kimbrel on a 1-year deal. So if you brought in JD on a 1 or 2 year deal, I don't see that being completely out of the question. Again, I don't know what the new ownership is thinking. But let's keep an eye out for this. Oh, we got some news. The Twins are close to a deal with Carlos Santana. Interesting. Carlos Santana going to another team. I feel like he's been with like 20 teams at this point. So we will have to keep an eye on this. Could the Orioles, with new ownership, be a threat to sign some of the top free agents out there. We'll have to keep an eye out for it. Speaking of the Orioles, like I said, they just got Corbin Burnes, who came from Milwaukee. What does this mean for Milwaukee moving forward? And we got some news a little earlier that there could be more trades on the way, right? From their GM, Arnold, they are open to more conversations. So it says here, when talking with Adam McCalvey of MLB.com, that Arnold acknowledged that he's certainly open to more conversations and wouldn't shut any conversations down at this point in the offseason. Listen, I'm just saying, everyone, if you moved Corbin Burnes, your big piece, why couldn't you move Willy Adames or Devin Williams? I would say out of the two, I would think Corbin Burnes, or no, sorry. Wow, my brain just completely stopped working. My goodness. I would think Willy Adames is more likely because he has 1 year left. So if we were to go to baseball trade values, let's take a look at the values here. Devin Williams, he's going to have a good amount, right? He's got around about $20 million worth of median value. But the thing with Devin Williams is that he has a lot of control, and he's one of the best closers in the game. So Milwaukee doesn't necessarily have to trade him at this point. So Devin Williams, man, if they traded away Devin Williams, that is something. Because he's not a free agent for another couple years. So a team, if they traded for him, they would have him for 2024 and 2025. So, but the Brewers, they would be able to cash in on a good amount of value. Carlos Santana, $5.25 million plus incentives. So, got something there. All right. So, out of the two, I would think Willy Adames is more likely because he's not going to be more expensive than Devin Williams. You're looking at around $11 million worth of median value. Could go as high, maybe 13. Right, but Adames is definitely a guy that you can get a couple of pieces. And the team right off the bat that I think of that need a shortstop are the Marlins. I mean, I'm just saying the Marlins, and I don't know why I didn't even think about this. Is what I mean. I usually, whenever trades happen, or like breaking news happens, I can't fully think through everything because I'm running a live show. But I don't know why it didn't even dawn on me last night that, yeah, you could just trade Willy Adames and then Joey Ortiz can be your starting shortstop if you wanted to go that route. Or you could have Adames for now and then Joey Ortiz eventually would be your shortstop. So you could do either way. But the Marlins, they really could use a shortstop at this point, right? You could look to a team like Toronto, where I know they did just bring in Justin Turner, but Justin Turner is going to be more of your DH at this point. Now, Schneider, he can move around. He can play some other positions. So could they be set at second base? And then, that's where I would imagine Adames would play. Bichette should play second base if you brought in Adames, but you could, but I would probably say no on the Blue Jays. So again, the team that, really comes to mind would be the Marlins, maybe the Giants, right? No longer, you don't got Brandon Crawford, but you got Luciano there. So I don't know if maybe they really want to go that route. So again, I think the Marlins could make a lot of sense. I've put together a trade with the Marlins prior. Because really, when it comes to like a clear need at shortstop, they're the one team. And yeah, the Marlins can do this. So let's put this together. Let's do Adames going to Miami. And then for the Marlins, you could send back a couple of pieces here. Right? It doesn't have to be anything crazy. If I were to look at some of the Marlins prospects, you could maybe give up someone in the top 10. Depends on who. Jacob Berry would be interesting. That's a guy that you just drafted pretty high not too long ago, but he's lost a lot of value because he has just not done well in the minor leagues. I wonder if like that could be like a throw-in kind of a piece. I honestly like when Jacob Berry was a really good hitter in college. He just seems like a Brewer to me. Like if he were to go into that system, all right. But last year in Double-A, I mean, to be honest, at any level, he really hasn't been able to get it going at all. Like he has been pretty bad, right? And he was drafted 6th overall, so he's been so far a bust. So maybe that could be a piece that you could put in here, right? He wouldn't be the leading piece, but about $3 million worth of value. So yeah, he could definitely be a part of it, right? But if I'm looking at, maybe one more piece here, maybe you could do, you're kind of running out of options, right? So maybe you could do, let's see here. Maybe you could do like 3 lower level pieces. Maybe like Dax Fulton you could throw in there. But I think with the Brewers, they probably want something major league ready, right? So, I don't know. Maybe you could do both. Maybe you could do both Devin Williams and Willy Adames. Oof, that'd be pretty nasty. You'd have Tanner Scott and Devin Williams in that bullpen. Crazy. So, I don't know. Maybe you could send back like Xavier Edwards, Victor Mesa Jr. maybe. But again, would they want something more major league ready? I don't know. Maybe you could send back Birdie in that deal. Like send them back a shortstop maybe. He can play other positions too. Hey, well, I don't know. I'm not really quite sure what you could do. But maybe Jacob Berry. Maybe another piece. Maybe like a Xavier Edwards. I could see possibly something like that. He's projected for their bench at this point. So, possible. I don't know. But look out for some possible moves. Now, if you did Devin Williams, I mean, you could go to a bunch of different teams, right? Any team would love to have a closer like that under control, right? So Devin Williams, I don't know. If I were to pick a team that could use a closer, let's see. I mean, anytime I think bullpen, I think Rangers. They just seem to be a team that, like, any good reliever out there could make some sense. But they did just bring in Robertson, so I don't know about that. So, oh, man, this computer right now, it is chugging. It is chugging. Everyone, we got to get this new computer, man. We got to get this new computer. So, I don't know. If you're looking at teams that are competitive, maybe the Padres could do something. That could be pretty good. They've added a couple relievers there from overseas, right? So that could be interesting. Maybe the Yankees could do something. Devin Williams on the Yankees. That'd be pretty nasty. Could you do something with the Angels? They could use some bullpen help. Maybe the Diamondbacks. Maybe add a little bit more. Orioles, I would think, are probably not at this point because I feel like you would have maybe gotten something done with the Burns trade. So there are definitely some spots that Devin Williams could go. All right. And again, you're looking at around $20 million median for Devin. But I would imagine because of that market, you're probably going to see that value. You're probably going to see a team maybe give a little bit more, right? For Burns, it was a slight overpay, like a minor overpay. But for Williams, I could see it maybe getting to like that $25-30 million range where it's a decent overpay. So, listen, I completely think you could definitely have something happen here, especially now that you have Joey Ortiz, who you could just play now, right? It'd probably make more sense to have Adames at this point because Ortiz, you're basically throwing him into the fire at this point, right? So if you wanted to ease him in, Adames would probably be the way to go. And then, Williams. But again, with Williams, he has more control. But that could also mean that you're going to get more value for him now if you trade him now. So look out for the Brewers. I absolutely think they could make some moves here. I totally think they can, right? Because when I was thinking, with Burns, he probably wasn't going to go anywhere. It just felt like he wasn't going to get moved. Everyone, all the writers, the experts, right? They were all saying he was probably going to be staying put. I didn't see one person out there saying that Burns was going to get traded. It got to a point where everyone was convinced that he was staying. But then he got moved. And now that this has happened, I think anything can happen. That's just me. Everyone, I'm going to wrap this up. Keeping it pretty short and simple for tonight. Hey, not exactly any crazy deals today, but the Theo Epstein news was huge. And yeah, as a Red Sox fan, yeah, it's huge news, right, for myself and other Red Sox fans out there. But I think just for baseball fans out there, Theo Epstein has been a big part of this game, for the Red Sox, for the Cubs, right? Ending those curses, working with Major League Baseball over the last couple of years. So if Theo Epstein does something, I do think it's big news, right? Not just because he, is a legend in Red Sox history, but he's just good for the game of baseball. So it just so happens he came back to Fenway Sports Group. So what can you do? Hey, the Orioles, could they make some more splashes here? I don't know what's going on with this Orioles team right now. All of a sudden, now they have new ownership in Burns. Are they going to be just going crazy here over the next week? I mean, I'm just saying. The Brewers, they could be open for business here. Let's see. Will my Red Sox do something now that you have Theo in the fold and their investment with PGA is done? I'll bet probably no. But hey, we saw Burns get moved. And when it didn't seem like the Orioles were going to do anything. So, everyone, if you can, on the way out, hit that like button for me. We are just under our goal for tonight. Just under our goal. We're at 147 likes for tonight. 200 is the goal, if you can help us get there. And also, we did have some other news today. I forgot to touch on that. Ross Stripling going to the Oakland A's. That was another move. Look at the Oakland A's still making some moves. Hey, they're doing something. So, Ross Stripling felt like at that point, I don't know, he wasn't really doing much where he was with the Giants. So, I think, it's probably best go send him over to Oakland. Who knows? Maybe he could get his career back on track a little bit, and who knows? Maybe he could be a trade piece at the deadline. We actually have a couple of super chats coming in. Jason Voorhees, $1.99, and Foreign We Trust. Hey, like I said, making the move for Stripling there, getting rid of him. But I think the Giants, they could definitely have a move up their sleeve. We still got a lot of time. Could Chapman be that guy? Chapman's going to be interesting in the next couple of weeks. I wonder if Chapman, you're probably not going to see him sign probably until the end of the month. He feels like one of those guys that's going to be pretty last, right? Yogi Dude. Theo is the best GM ever, period. And I'm not even a Red Sox fan. So like I was just saying, he's good for the game of baseball, right? He's kind of that guy that he's like the perfect happy medium of a GM, right? Because he emphasized player development, but he also understood that you needed to go make deals, whether it was through free agency or through trade. He was just so good at what he did. So, SoundFX09, thank you, my friend. $9.99 was at Braves Fest last weekend. Got to ask AA and Kelnick a question during Q&As, and I've been uploading some of the footage onto my channel. Over a year behind on footage, so my hands are full. Everyone, go check out SoundFX's channel. That's probably pretty cool. Hey, I'll have to go check that out too. That's what I did like that. I like that Braves Fest, man. AA was really open to speaking to people, it seemed, and I like that, man. I like stuff like that. We need more transparency in the game today. So, everyone, thank you so much for stopping by tonight. I greatly appreciate it. And we'll probably be back on Sunday. Also, everyone, I'm going to be coming out with my top 50 players tomorrow night. Let's see if that video can do okay. It's been a little slow on the channel when it comes to views. But if you can help me get that video off the ground, I will greatly appreciate it. I'm diving into the top 50 player realm where Foolish Baseball has made it famous with his Foolish 50 draft neck mark. He does it around like every year at Christmas time. So it's always highly debatable. People are going to get grumpy. I'm already gearing myself up for the comments because people are going to be grumpy and they're going to hate me because they're going to think I put someone too high or too low or whatever. And I guarantee I'm going to get a comment that says, man, this guy doesn't know ball. He doesn't know anything. This guy's an idiot. I can't wait for those comments. They're going to happen. So everyone, be on the lookout for that tomorrow night. Probably around like 7, 8 o'clock probably tomorrow night. So, yeah, that's all I got, everyone. Thanks for stopping by tonight. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for the super chats there at the end. And everyone, I'll talk to you next time.